Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm going to be checking out the Eachine QX65. This is a tiny whoop style aircraft. It comes in three versions. The basic version, which just has one battery and sits around about £40. Personally, I'd go for this one and you'll see why later. This is the standard version, which has three batteries, and then you've got the advanced version, which comes with a multi-charger and a load of batteries. It's also available with a FreeSky D8 receiver, and you can get it with the FlySky 2A protocol receiver and DSM2 and DSMX. That is because it is using the B-Core V2 flight controller. Now, I reviewed this flight controller on the channel. I put it on a Eachine E010S and I really liked it. But if you don't want to build it up yourself, then they have given this package here. So let's take a look at what you get in the box. This is the model, and one of the three batteries that I have got is underneath. It's a 250 milliamp high volt, so 4.35 volts when they are fully charged, and it's a 3260C battery. It is using a 1.25 pitch JST connector. Personally, I prefer the 2mm pitch. All of my tiny whoop batteries are using that, but I don't think we're going to have any power issues with that. The only problem is all of my batteries are 2mm pitch, and the other two batteries that they have provided are absolutely buggered. They are completely puffed and they are unusable. Now, I was thinking about this because this package turned up stone cold, and I think what happens is they load the postage van up in the evening, and overnight when it's freezing cold it just has to sit there. However, I don't think a overnight stay in a postal van is enough to make these batteries do this. So I checked the voltage off them and they have been storage charged at 4 volts, which is too high. It should be 3.85 for a high volt. So I imagine they've been sat like this for some time and they have puffed. So that is absolutely no good. So like I say, it's probably best to buy the basic version and get your own batteries. I also know that Sebi Docker got the advanced version. One of his batteries had been on fire in the box, so you know that sort of confirms to me that they have storage charged these at the wrong voltage, which is rubbish. Send me a fire in the post. Well, that was disappointing. So we've also got a spare set of propellers, and it looks like a Phillips style screwdriver in there, and I think I can see a couple of spare screws in there as well, which is always nice. This is the charger, so you can see it actually does charge the 2mm pitch and 1.25 pitch, and of course it is a high volt, and looks like we've got two options there. So the two options are different voltages actually. So in the forward position it's for charging a high volt, so 4.35, and we've got an LED that shows there, and then in the back position it's for a normal 4.2 volt, and you get an LED up there somewhere. But yeah, I'm probably going to be using this EV Peak charger, and I'll link that in the below. Looks like we've got a little tiny prop remover, and if I have a look in here, we've got some instructions as well. So it came flashed with Betaflight version 3.22, so fairly recent version, and you can actually just bind it to your transmitter and get it going, but I plugged it in because I found that the angle position in the modes tab was like in a weird place, so I think you are going to have to plug it into Betaflight and configure it for your transmitter. It also had motor stop turned on, and I've changed that as well. And also I found it interesting, it doesn't seem to be outputting the RSSI on one of the aux channels for FreeSky, and when I reviewed the V2 B-Core it did that, so must be a slightly different version. I find that a bit of a gimmick with a tiny whoop, but if that's important to you, then go with the B-Core V2 and build one up yourself, I would say. So we've got this canopy over here, and it's got all of these holes in, so you can access the bind button. It's just down there somewhere. You can also see the channels on the back of the camera. So yes, it's got a 25 milliwatt 48 channel camera, and you can access the button on the top there. So it's going to be a short press to go through the individual channels and a 2-second press to go through the individual bands. And something unique about this is you can actually change the angle of the camera, which you can't usually do on a tiny whoop. So you've got a little tiny screw in there, and that's probably why you've got a screwdriver. You can change the angle of it. The antenna is just some coax, but I'm sure that's going to be fine. As it's linear, I'm going to be using a Bandicoot patch antenna with my diversity system to get the best out of it. And yeah, we've got this canopy over here and the usual plug and play 6mm motors. The only thing I've noticed about the motors is that they are fairly loose, and in a crash, which you're going to do with a tiny whoop, they lift up. It's not a huge deal, but I would have liked to have seen them a little bit more secure. We've also got some of these little rubber bands here to keep the cables nice and tidy. It weighs 20 grams without a battery, and then with these 250 milliamp battery, it's 27 grams, so it's about right for a tiny whoop, I would say. So we have got 2 screws keeping the canopy on at the back there, no screw at the front, but it doesn't seem to have too much play in it. The flight controller is soft mounted, which is correct, of course, for the B Core, and it's an F3. So yeah, it's just running stock Betaflight PIDs and stock rates, so I've put 0.8 in there for the rate, and seeing as I'm going to be flying it indoors, I'm probably not going to mess around too much with the PIDs, but of course you can do acro with it, so I've set that up, and I've also got it to arm on a aux channel as well. It was just set to have the rudder. And something that I get asked all the time with tiny whoops is, how do you enable turtle mode? The short answer is you can't. It's an ESC D-shot command thing, which you can't do with a brushed model. Okay, let's have a look what kind of punch this thing's got inside line of sight. I'm hearing a little rattle, but nothing unusual for a tiny whoop. Wow, that's got plenty of punch for indoors. In fact, I dare say, whoa, let's try some acro. Look at that. Acro line of sight indoors. Plenty of punch. That is interesting. Oh yes. People are always telling me I should fly acro indoors. Well, how about line of sight indoors? It does it. It's got the power. That's pretty cool. I like it. Back into angle and see if we've got any drift issues. It does not appear to have. Look at that. That's bags apart. I dare say you'd be able to fly this one outdoors on a calm day. Yeah, I'm impressed with that. Whoa. Not too good there with my skill. I imagine that will happen as the battery starts to deplete. Just have to give it a little bit more oomph on the recovery, but it's doable. I'm pretty impressed with that, I have to say. Right, let's go do some FPV. Just